What up, family? It's your boy Zach Taylor. Welcome back to the E-Up channel. So excited to have y'all back here for another episode. Today we're talking about learn thyself for thyself, inspired from the ancient Kemetic principle and proverb, man, know thyself. It's actually written on a few ancient temples there in Kemet, as we know today as Egypt. For some of you may be big Matrix fans, actually also on in that scene where Neo first meets the Oracle, and she asks him if he knows that phrase, and it's up on the wall. So yeah, a very well-known proverb amongst ancient civilizations. I think we need to bring that back to today's culture, and trying to drive it home for a lot of our youth and young people, and even some of our older people as well. Just really understanding who you are, where you come from, and how that can have an impacting factor on just how you move as an individual. And I actually want to speak on that word individual before I get too deep into the topic today. But first, before I get into any further into this, let me please ask everybody to like and comment on the video. I mean, if you're watching this video past 5 minutes, I assume you like it. So please definitely hit the like button. Share the video on all your platforms so I can get the content out there to more people. And in the comment section, please let me know if you like the content, if you have other topics of which you think that I should talk about, need to talk about, if it's not already in my lineup of things to make content for. So real quick, tackle this word individual. Actually, we were challenged with this word while I was attending Martin University in one of my business and communications classes. I actually believe this was a philosophy class. And our professor, asked us to really break down, a specific word. And that word was individual. And it was written on the board, and I instantly just lost my mind because he had recently did an exercise before this where he had broken down a word we didn't really understand. We thought we knew because we used it in our everyday language what it meant, but we didn't. So when he wrote the word individual on the board, I instantly, like Home Alone type of deal. But the word individual, right? So if we just look at the suffix of the word dual, we all know that dual, if we look at it on a physical act, it means it can't happen if there's not two parties involved. It always takes two to tango, right? So just look at that suffix first, dual, put that to the side. The prefix is in. The prefix in is used interchangeably depending on the context and the word in which it is before. But we look at the root word in the middle, it is divide. Divide, y'all. D-I-V-I-D, divide. So if we look at the prefix in, the root word divide, and then the suffix dual, individual, basically means to divide up this dual and make it one. Now, it seems pretty harmless, right? Well, when we look at ourselves as individuals in that context and not as a whole, right? So take a pack of cheese individual slices, right? Almost every package you get of Kraft cheese, it says individual slices, 26, 30. I don't know how many slices. I don't really eat American cheese, but they always say individual slices. Why? Because they're individually wrapped, but they're in a group. It's a pack of cheese. Why am I doing all this hooping and hollering? Well, again, we look at ourselves as individuals instead of looking at it ourselves as a group, as a conglomerate, to work together to get to where we want to go in life. We want to accelerate. We want to get to the highest of highs. We want to succeed. We want to be wealthy. We want to be somebody, right? But we don't really want to work with other people. We don't want to support anybody. We don't want to take the time out to give our time to other people, and only want to focus on self. Guys, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. It's another old African proverb. I'm going to leave it at that. Let's get into the topic of discussion real quick. Again, learn thyself for thyself. Do not let society and external factors shape your way of thinking. And that really came from just me analyzing a lot of things as a young adolescent at the age of 13, 14 years old. I always told people when I was young, don't let society shape your way of thinking. You know, I was always a person that where if 20 people are walking left, I might walk right. You know, just because they all walking left, that don't mean that's the right direction to go, right? So I want to provide you guys with some questions just to kind of give you some rhetorical things to think about, or things to think about rhetorically. And then I'll move on to a frame of reference, a couple frame of references, to kind of hit home on the point of knowing yourself and not allowing society to shape your way of thinking. And then that'll be the conclusion of this video. So, do you know who you are? Meaning, do you know who you are? Does Zachary know who he is, who himself is as a person? What makes him tick, right? What inspires him? What gets him down? Do I know myself? Do I understand my cultural history, where I come from as African American, as a Native American? What is my culture's history prior to colonization, prior to slavery? Because honestly, most of us do not know. Yeah, we know that we were kings and queens and stuff like that, but we don't really know our culture. All we know is there's a couple pharaohs and kings. Most of us can't even name them, right? So actually knowing our cultural history is very vital, I think, to understanding how your family came to be in this modern day, in this modern time, as well as understanding the back thoughts that you have, right? Some of these thoughts that you have are not necessarily stem from today or even what you've been brought up in, but you are a conglomerate. You make up all of your ancestors. You are all your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and all of your ancestors before them in one, right? So understanding your cultural history can have a serious impact and understanding of yourself and why you move and think the way you do. Who taught you about your cultural history? Your people or your parents or another ethnic group? The reason why this is important is because if you are taught about your culture from another ethnic group and not your own people, well, then you tend to see yourself through the lens of that opposite ethnic group, which can be detrimental. If you're always accepting the master narrative made about you and your people, you'll never be able to argue or disagree or confirm anything about you. Again, I'm gonna say that again because I don't think that's, talked about enough. If you are always accepting the master narratives given to you about your culture and your people, you'll never be able to argue or disagree or confirm anything stated about you because you can only speak on what you've been taught by someone else. How much do you observe and analyze yourself, your habits, your tendencies, or even criticize your personality? Again, this is just going back to knowing to who you are at the core of you. What makes you tick, what makes you angry, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what allows you to stay motivated, what allows you to be demotivated, what allows you to go off on somebody when they, brush your shoulder, and what allows you to look the other way and not really respond to it when someone brushes your shoulder. These are the things that need to be addressed so that we can have a control over ourselves, honestly, and not allow other people to control our emotions. What societal contributions has your people made to this country in which you reside, as well as to the world? And maybe you can't find out immediately what your people or your family have maybe done for the country, but maybe in your own community, like your home state. This could be of some great benefit to you. I recently found out that my great grandfather was a baseball coach. He was a youth sports coach. And the reason why that matters and why that holds significance to me is because I've always wondered where my desire to want to nurture the youth comes from. Why I love teaching sports, the ones that I know and like anyway, as well as my natural ability to coach people through things that I know, whether it be sports or training at a job or learning how to play a video game, like with my little brother, just training him in that aspect and coaching and being able to get in front and showing somebody how to do something so that they can do it as well. It just gives me a great sense of pride in knowing that. And so I encourage you and challenge you to do the same, because you now have a great understanding as to why you are the way you are by knowing your ancestors and what they did in society, right? What religious and spiritual system did your ethnic group initially prescribe to, and which one do you most and best identify with? The reason why I raised this question is because a lot of us don't really know too much about other religious systems, spiritual systems, and their respective cultures. We just know that they exist and that they belong to those cultures. But a lot of us, unless we've gone and taken the time to study as well as read different religious texts, we think that they differ, and really they're very similar. And so I challenge most of you who are watching this video, because I'm pretty sure some of you have already started doing the research, to actually take the time to find out, if you can find out your family history, what, tribe you come from, what country you come from specifically, and then find out what religious systems did they practice, right? What were their religious beliefs? What was the name of God in their native tongue? And how does that relate to the religion that you follow now, if you do follow a religion? If you were able to take the time at the age of, say, 5 years old, when you had somewhat full understanding of some of the stuff that was going on in the world, or even 7, 8, 9, right? Instead of you being thrusted into a religion, if you had the ability to take all the different religions and study them, or at least look at them for face value and pick which one would you choose? Right? Because I know a lot of us today, as we've grown into adulthood and grown into the way we think and understand things, we've shifted religions. And so I'm bringing this up because I think it's important that we understand, again, the history of our people and our family and our culture and our background when it comes to religion and how we connect to the Most High. And even then, the last question I asked is, what is the origin of that religion that your family subscribes to? Because that also has an impact and could be counterproductive if it contradicts the get up or the dressing of that religion in today's society. All right. So those are some questions I wanted to hit y'all with. I don't want to be too long on this video, so I want to quickly get into my frame of references and just getting you to understand how to have knowledge of yourself and not allowing society to shape your way of thinking. So Dr. King had a speech amongst a young, I want to say high school. It was actually a junior high school group of kids, and speaking to them about, getting ready to enter the adult life and eventually going off to school and finding out what you want to do with life. He asked them, and this was the title of his speech, what is your life's blueprint? Now, in this speech, and this is a speech I do encourage you can easily find this on YouTube. Please go watch it on YouTube. What is your life's blueprint? Literally a 21 or 22 minute speech. Very good speech. Excuse me. He asked, or he said, 3 things need to be in your life's blueprint. And I only go over the first one. A deep belief in your dignity, your worth, and somebodyness. Deep belief in your worth, somebodyness, and your dignity. I'm going to break down those 3 words because they really all weave in together. Dignity, worth, and somebodyness. But then I want to change one word. I want to transpose one word in that statement, and that is belief. I personally do not use the word belief in too much. I only use it in a certain context, like I believe that I am capable of, getting something done, or I believe that this person is capable or able to achieve this certain goal, right? Because I have faith and I have hope that these things will get done, but I do not know concretely or absolutely if it will come to pass, right? But when it comes to self, knowledge of self is key. I believe belief can only take you so far, just like motivation can only get you so far. Motivation may last a few days. It may not last a lifetime. A belief may last a few years, it may not last a lifetime, but knowledge is forever. So I say that having a deep knowledge of your dignity, worth, and embodiness is key, right? Dignity is respect and honor. Worth, being worthy of something, means that you show qualities deserving of a specific action. So if you are worthy of dignity, you possess the qualities that show that you are deserving of respect and honor. Somebodiness. Well, what does that mean? Everybody wants to be somebody. Nobody wants to be a nobody. But everybody wants to be a somebody. Now, it's funny how that simple word, we use it in everyday speech and everyday language, in such a basic usage. But when you look up the word somebody and its second definition, it says that it's a person of authority or importance. Hence the phrase, everybody wants to be somebody. So what Dr. King was saying in this first part, pillar that you need in your blueprint, is that you need to have deep knowledge of yourself as a human being of authority and importance, knowing that you possess the qualities necessary to be given the respect and honor that you deserve. You need to know these things. Know thyself. Again, I encourage you all to please go watch this speech, What is Your Life's Blueprint, when you get the available time. Another speech, and I will have the link for this one at the bottom in the description. Another person who I want to give a frame of reference to is KRS-One. Most of you know him. He's a old school rapper. He's also pretty much an activist, and he's a speaker, author. But for those of you who don't know him, people probably of my generation, KRS-One is an OG rapper from the Bronx, who, man, go look up Self-Destruction, okay? that's a song and a music video that I think will stand the test of time. Do it get played a whole lot? Do I hear people talk about it a whole lot? Nah. But when I first seen the video, I was like, yo, this is today. I really, really rock with this joint, and I can relate to it a lot with the premise in which they're coming from, the mind frame that these poetic rappers are speaking from. So if you want to know who KRS-One is, if you've never heard a song, go listen to Self-Destruction, and you will get in a song, you will get a piece of really where this man is coming from and his ideology. So in this speech, KRS-One is talking about knowing thyself, knowing who you are, and he breaks down hip hop as a culture. You can go to the university and explain many of things. It's all about how you give them the information, in which context, in the context in which you put it in. So he was explaining hip hop as a culture. Hip is an old Sanskrit term. Sanskrit is an old ancient Kemetic language that Latin, Greek, all those terms originate from. It's an African language. It is used, or it was used, still is used, amongst the African Wolof tribe. Hip means to know, to be aware, hence the term hippie cat. This is what they call person during the day who they considered keenly aware. A hippie cat, one whose eyes are open. Open your eyes, open your mind. Hippie cat, one whose eyes are open. So hip means to know and to be aware. Hop means to spring forward. So if I'm hip hop, I know why I move. I am aware of my movements. Thus, I am hip hop. Again, understanding language, understanding culture. This is why I asked these questions in the beginning. I know why I move, and this is why I'm big into language and etymology. Again, I don't know all the words and what they mean and every single origin of every single word, especially in the English language, but I do try my very best to be cautious and careful with the words that I use, especially the ones I do know the origin of. So Hip hop, I know why I move. What do you believe about yourself? What story are you telling? KRS-One, Biggie, Tupac, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, they all mastered their craft and they were able to tell their story. LeBron James, he has mastered his craft as a basketball player, thus he's telling his story. Do not let the outer control the inner. Like I said earlier, don't allow society to shape your way of thinking. One of the most profound coaches I've ever gotten to hear speak when it comes to business coaching and finance and financial literacy spoke at a conference and he talked about your relationship with money. He asked the audience, what is your relationship with money? Who taught you to hate money? Or who taught you to love money? Right? So don't let the outer control the inner. Don't allow other people's philosophies and worldviews, massive narratives, be yours. Adopt your own way of looking at things, a way of looking at the world, and a way of thinking, so that you move on your own merit and not that of the others who come before you, who may not have known it all. Right? Understand that just like the sun is the center of the solar system, you are the center of the universe. You have a sun in your diaphragm, hence it being called the solar plexus. You are the cause and not the effect. KRS-One, when he broke down in that video that I really do encourage you all to go watch, and that's another 20-minute video, so about 40 minutes out of your day, right? I know a lot of y'all, a lot of us, we all watch Netflix and Hulu and Peacock now and all these other streaming services. Most episodes are about 30 to 45 minutes long, so you can watch them two speeches and learn something for real, right? But KRS-One broke down 4 core elements. This is where he was getting into the scholarly presentation of information to a university, right? Breaking down hip hop as a culture in 4 core elements: breaking, MCing, graffiti, and DJing. Breaking is dancing. It is a form of dance. And just like with my brand, E-Up, I say I can enlighten and uplift people through speech. But what I tell everyone who I introduce my business concept to is that you can inspire and uplift and enlighten people through many different forms of art, not just speaking, but through dance, through art, through rap, through spoken word, through artwork, through so many different forms. And just think about it, y'all. Those are the 4 core elements of hip hop. Yet people try to talk to us and tell us that hip hop is not a culture. It's just y'all playing with music. When really hip hop is a derivative of beat bop, which is a derivative of blues and jazz, which comes from old gospel and folk song lore and folklore songs, and right. So it all comes from one basic atom into this big organism, or it strands off into different types of organisms, right? So again, the 4 core elements of hip hop: breaking, which is dancing, something that is so old to the human species. Dancing didn't just come about during slavery. No, we have been a dancing people. When the first group of Africans reached the Australian shores, because we learn through paying attention to nature. Again, this is why I say learn your culture and know your history and learn thyself. When we got to see the shores of Australia, we learned through nature, and one of the first things we did was dance. This is recorded. This is documented. This is not just something that I'm saying because I heard somebody speak this in a lecture that they gave 20 years ago. No, this is documented. There have been people, both black and white, who have done the research to find out that yes, persons, when they populated different parts of the world, had to come first in contact with nature and imitated nature, and that's how they started to build their civilization. And one of the first things we did was in imitating nature was dancing. Next core element: MCing. Not talking like this, but talking like this when I get to the mic, and you know how I am. I got all the hype. That's rhythmic speech. Please don't come at me for the little 2-bit verse I just gave y'all. That was just me trying to give y'all some rhythmic speech, okay? Because your boy got bars, all right. But that's rhythmic speech. A core element of hip hop is rhythmic speech. And we allow other people to tell us that, oh, it's just some mumbo jumbo. Again, unlearn and relearn, right? Third core element, graffiti. Do y'all know that those drawings and markings on caves, whether you looking at caves in the Caucasus Mountain or you looking at the temples in Egypt, carvings on walls and stone was called graffiti. Just like the murals y'all have on the side of buildings and under bridges and stuff, that's graffiti, y'all. It's another form of art, another form of expression. They say writing is the painting of the voice. Painting of the voice, also painting of the mind, right? So handwriting is graffiti, and then DJing, scratching and mixing, started by Grandmaster Flash, and you'll find that in the KRS-One Lecture. That's a manipulation of nature, y'all. Technology, computers, cell phones, TVs, manipulation of nature. 4 core elements, y'all. Hip hop, breaking, MCing, graffiti, and DJing, dancing, rhythmic speech, handwriting, and manipulation of nature. I don't know about y'all, but when I learned this information, listening to this lecture, and looked into it a little bit more, my appreciation for the art of rap and hip hop grew a whole lot more, and I already appreciate it a whole lot. But understanding the framework and where it originates from and how our ancestors have been using these things since the beginning to cultivate nature, to cultivate how to live and how to build things, how to communicate with one another. We've been using these elements, y'all. We just use them in different forms based on the culture in which we're in. This is why I say it's good to know thyself and know thy history. And if it seems like I'm getting real animated, it's because I'm getting re-inspired by looking at this information, and it does something to me. And I hope y'all feel the genuineness in my speech right now when I'm saying to y'all that it does a great deal of respect and a great deal of power to you when you learn about yourself. I can imagine what it does for the spiritual realm, for the ancestors, going back and reaching back, like Sankofa, reaching back to learn about myself and our history, y'all. And I would implore that you do the same, because I feel like it would tremendously give you a boost, not only for your mental and spiritual, but also for your the emotional side of you, right? So again, unlearning to relearn. KRS-One said that what do you believe about yourself is what you tell about yourself. So what story are you telling? Master your craft. Remember, y'all, hip means to be keenly aware. And once you know yourself, you know the whole story. That's it, y'all. I'm running out of time. I love this topic today. I hope you guys really enjoyed some of the information that I gave. Please comment below. Let me know if you liked it, if you want to go more and deep into some of what I went into, or if there's other topics that you guys want me to discuss. Remember, y'all, Ashe means peace, or Ashe means power, and it also means so be it. So giving power to everything I said, and for all of you to have success in all your endeavors and to have a great week, so be it. And Otep means peace. So Ashe, know thyself, for thyself, and peace. Otep.